Well, hello there, guys. My name is Tara, and today we will be discussing the 2000s internet. And I find this topic really interesting because it's sort of like this transition phase between the internet just popping up and lots of people then having access to it and to it eventually becoming what we know and love today. I'm kind of confused as to what actually counts as a 2000s baby because now listen, I can't relate or remember a lot of what I'm talking about. I can remember maybe the stuff from the late 2000s because that carried on into the 2010s. Please keep in mind that I'm born in 2007, so most of what I'm talking about I was not alive to witness. And I'm just confused what classifies as a 2000s baby because yes, I was a baby in a part of the 2000s, but I wasn't around to experience a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about today. However, I think I would classify as a 2000s baby because I was a baby in the 2000s, but I wouldn't classify as a 2000s kid because I didn't grow up with a lot of the things that were classified as typical kid things in the 2000s. But anyways, we'll be talking about this only on TP on 2FPS. And with that being said, cue the intro. So first of all, the outfit, are we liking it? Are we liking it today? I don't know. I feel like it's a cultural crossover between the alt and baddie aesthetics. But more leaning towards the baddie aesthetic or a futuristic baddie. This is my original TP outfit. I should have got the glasses, on my profile picture. Anyways, starting off the video, we need to talk about the Y2k phenomenon because oh my god, this would not be a video about the 2000s internet if we didn't. So Y2K, not the aesthetic, we'll talk about the aesthetic in a second. The Y2K phenomenon, which was also called the millennial bug. Yeah, it was also called the millennial bug. So it was supposed to be this strange computer bug that was supposed to mess up computer systems around the world as the year changed from 1999 to the year 2000. Now, let me just set the scene of what it looks like back then. So 361 million people had access to the internet during the year 2000, which is nothing compared to the 1.97 billion that was of the year 2010. Reading into an explanation of why the bug was supposed to happen, it says when complicated computer programs were being written during the 1960s through the 1980s, computer engineers used a two-digit code for the year. The 19 was left out. Instead of a date reading 1970, it read 70 because data storage in computers was costly and took up a lot of space. As the year 2000 approached, computer programmers realized that computers might not interpret 00 as 2000 but as 1900. Activities that were programmed on daily or yearly basis would be damaged or flawed. As December 31st, 1999 turned into January 1st, 2000, computers might interpret December 31st, 1999, turning into January 1st, 1900. And on the date that happened, banks which calculated interest rates were sort of affected as they ended up calculating interest rates that span over minus 100 years. But they fixed that, and I find it pretty ironic that the US spent all this time and spent all of this money trying to prepare for the whole Y2K thing, whereas countries like Italy, South Korea, Russia, they were just chilling. They didn't even do anything. If you compare the amount of problems that the US faced compared to the countries that were just chilling, it was literally the same amount. And the thing is, people were literally just completely over dramatizing the whole Y2K thing. And a lot of people just thought it was an end of the world cult or the hoax because the papers were really trying to make it sound I don't know, apocalyptic, I guess. By the way, go check out my video on the Flash apocalypse if you haven't already. Now, so talking about the Y2K aesthetic and fashion, actually, could my outfit fit into the Y2K aesthetic? I mean, it depends. It depends what Y2K you're talking about. The original Y2K fashion was supposed to be this crossover between computer and humans, and it kind of took inspiration from I don't know, was it Vaporwave that took inspiration from Y2k, or Y2k that took inspiration from Vaporwave? I don't know. Make it look all techno and futuristic. But there came the 2020s when Gen Zs decided to, you know, corrupt words and stop using them in the correct way. And Gen Zs, like, we just started calling normal mainstream 2000s fashions Y2k, which is now only used to refer to the 2000s popular fashion that we now call an aesthetic. Oh yeah, and the dot-com crash. I can't be asked to go into detail in this video. If you're curious, just do your own research. But like, as companies, as like people in the 90s realized that the internet was probably going to be a big deal, a lot of money invested, stock market, value go up.com, value crash.com. That was a very simple explanation. So now, let's have an early 2000s edition of WWWD. What were we doing? So first, let's talk web browsing. So I'm gonna try my best to read the script, but I don't even remember what I wrote. So we all need to remember that during the early 2000s, not everyone had access to cable. So there was the 56k dial-up, which is like this awful, painful, disturbing, disgusting sound in your ears every time you try to connect to the internet. And not to mention, only one device could be connected to the internet at a time, depending on a lot of different factors I can't be asked to go into now. So you'd probably want to ask your mom if she was going to make any calls before you did any suspicious business on the internet. However, the thing is, I guess it depends in the area that you lived in back then and how updated you are in terms of technology, because some families had DSL in the early 2000s, and for them 56k dial-up internet was just a thing of the 90s. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but to operate a computer in the very early 2000s and in the 90s, like in the 90s as well, you needed skill, okay? Because it was not as easy as google.com to whatever website you wanted to go on, and just, you know, as easy as it is today. Well, that's not entirely true, because Google did exist in the early 2000s. It's just that not that many people knew what it was until like the late early 2000s. Early 2000s, 2003 is when Google started to get more popular, but like earlier on, not that many people knew what Google was. And like my dad actually confirmed this to me, because he said when he moved to the UK in the early 2000s, like he had to take like a 3-month long course just so he could learn how to operate a computer. And before Google was big, you had portals. There were plenty of these different types of engines, and the transportation for any specific website that you wanted to go on was a lot less direct than it is today. And I can think of, I don't know, Netscape as a popular portal before it crashed with the .com crash. Now, I'm not sure about the validity of this statement, but apparently it was compulsory for you to have an email address to surf on the internet. I don't know. I feel like a historian talking about events that happened in the past. Well, technically I am. I'm an internet historian. Let's go. I guess things you could say were more hidden or like secretive back then, because it was just like harder to get onto specific websites, I guess. And because of that, it was also easier to get yourself into dangerous situations on the internet. There were many like streaming sites and like video players, but nothing as popular as like, I don't know, what YouTube or like Twitch would be today. And of course, there were many illegal websites and music streaming sites, especially like, what was it called again? LimeWire. And it was just basic HTML knowledge that you needed to compose a website due to the poor layout and aesthetic composition of most of the websites of the time and the limitations of early 2000s technology. And random, but I didn't even know this, but okay, some of you guys may already know this, and I may just be dumb and I may just be living under a rock, but I didn't know that DeviantArt was launched in the year 2000. Interesting. Now let's talk about communication. Oh, I'm 12 minutes in. Let's talk about communication. So AIM was the main form of communication back then, and there were brick phones, like Nokias and stuff. You can clearly see that I'm Gen Z. As I'm explaining this. But like, you know, it's sad that I remember this, because when I was younger, when I was younger, like my family still had brick phones, and I'm talking like 3 or 4 years old. And like, oh my days, like I remember when I nicked my sister's phone, and like I was going on the Nokia, and I was like trying to press like a text message, and like you had to you had to press like the same character over and over again to get like the same. Oh my god, I'm sorry, you youngins would not remember this. I love pretending that I'm old. I think it's actually kind of sad that I remember that. Oh yeah, I didn't even explain AIM. AIM was made by AOL for like AOL Instant Messenger, and reading this straight off of Wikipedia, teens and college students were known to use the Messenger's away message feature to keep in touch with friends, often frequently changing their away message throughout a day, or leaving a message with one's computer left to inform buddies of their ongoings, locations, parties, thoughts, or jokes. So it's as if AIM was like the earliest form of like social media that sort of keeps to how social media is today, because I know there probably were like forms of communication before AIM, but it's just the closest thing to any social media platform like Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, etc. that we have today. And if you're looking for some sort of like modern equivalent of AOL, I'd recommend playing Emily is Away. Yeah, I'd recommend Emily is Away for anyone that wants like a taster maybe of what AOL Instant Messenger used to be like. I also watched Jacksepticeye play it like a good few years ago. I don't even remember how long ago that was. And it is a pretty good game, so I recommend anyone here to play it. Now, talking about games, let's check out what the gaming scene was like in the early 2000s, as for internet games, of course. So gaming in the early 2000s was a unique experience, and if you watched my previous video on the Flash apocalypse and the history of Flash, you would know exactly what I mean. And during this time, Adobe hadn't bought off Macromedia yet, so they were still under the name Macromedia Flash, and due to the limitations of early 2000s technology, let's just say that the game quality wasn't the best sometimes. And if you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking, I highly suggest you go check out my video on the Flash apocalypse. And Webkinz was a pretty popular gaming site for kids back then. And we wouldn't be talking about gaming in the early 2000s if I forgot to mention Runescape. Runescape, which debuted in 2001 and is arguably one of the most successful, iconic, and memorable games of the 2000s. And Habbo and EverQuest were quite popular back then as well. And I wanted to talk about the birth of the internet meme. So I have a series on my main channel, Tara Michelle, called Memology, and we basically just study and talk about memes in depth. If you're interested in that, consider subscribing over there and tuning into my Memology series. I might convert it over to this channel as well, considering the fact that, you know, internet meme tech, I talk about gaming and tech related content here, but I don't know, I'll see you guys' opinion on it. So in my Memology series, we have a video on the history of memes where we go all the way from the 1970s when the term was first coined to the 2020s, discussing how memes have evolved over time. Although the term meme was originally coined in the year 1976, the 2000s marked the beginning of a new usage for this term, the internet meme. And although they weren't looking at memes and calling them so back then, we can reflect on it now and say like, oh, that was a meme back then. Oh, this was a meme back then. If you're looking for a more in-depth historical explanation and in-depth analysis on the philosophy of what memes are, go check out my series on my main channel, Tara Michelle. Also, did you know that human evolution and genealogy is actually highly connected to memes? Go check it out. But with that being said, the early 2000s marked a new beginning of this phenomenon, and many legendary memes came in the 2000s, specifically early 2000s. I can only think of two, and that is the hamster dance and the dancing baby. I don't know why they're obsessed with dancing things, cute dancing things in the early 2000s, but they just were. So let me just correct my mistake. The dancing baby didn't actually arise in the early 2000s. It was a meme since 1996, I'm pretty sure. Like that was when the dancing baby like had just first come in, and it was like this huge hit in the 90s, but then like I guess it just carried on into the 2000s. And the hamster dance, I'm pretty sure, came out in the actual year 2000. But anyways, just had to fix that quick little historical inaccuracy. And it came as a result of this newly found phenomenon, which is really just recycled human behavior being remixed with the invention of the internet. But then again, if you guys can think of any other iconic early 2000s meme, by early, I just mean 2001 to 2003. If you can think of any, and if you were, there to witness it, please hit me up. I want to know more about this. Now, let's fast forward to the mid-2000s. So let's first discuss web browsing in the early mid 2000s. I'm sorry that this one might seem a bit shorter than the other sections because it's the middle one, it's the awkward one, it's the one I didn't have that much information for. And the internet was slowly becoming easier and easier to access, being less difficult than it was in the early 2000s. Google didn't actually get that much popularity until 2003, as I previously said, and was pretty well established in the mid-2000s, and announcing the birth of YouTube in the year 2005, back when it still ran on Flash and didn't have ads. The good old days. Not me acting as if I was around to see it, but anyway, you could play videos but with pretty bad quality. This was also around the time that Adobe finally bought Macromedia, and it wasn't called Macromedia Flash anymore, and it became what we know today as Adobe Flash Player, which we don't know today because Flash died. And also celebrity gossip sites like Oh No They Didn't and Sticky Drama, which Izzy did a good video on. You should go check her channel out with her video if you want to know more about that. Which at this time they were all at their, can I say peak? What did they really peak at this time? I think they did peak at this time, but 2000s kids, correct me if I'm wrong. And these teen drama websites, it was the Twitter before Twitter exists. Like the toxicity of the honestly, you thought Twitter was bad? You should have been a kid in the 2000s to witness the clownery, the circusory, the absolute abomination that was teen gossip sites in the mid-2000s. And again, if you're interested more in that, go check out Izzy's video on Sticky Drama on how bloody toxic these websites were. And also, quick side note, 4chan came out in 2003, but was getting more popular during the mid-2000s. 4chan. Let's not even go there today. So as for the gaming world, World of Warcraft, two completely unrelated games, World of Warcraft and Stardoll came out in the year 2004. And by the way, I remember Stardoll. But I was surprised that it came out in 2004. Do you guys want me to do a video on Stardoll? Because I will happily research that one. Stardoll, because I don't want to say obsessed with that game. My obsession was with like Minecraft and MSP. But like Stardoll was still one of those games that I played every now and then. Like, Bin Weevils and Mushy Monsters. By the way, go check out my videos on them. And Club Penguin also came out in 2005. Club Penguin is one of those OG Flash games that everyone would expect me to know as someone that does extensive research into them and has also been around to witness a lot of them. But I remember knowing about Club Penguin's existence. I think I maybe made a Club Penguin account. Or I think it was my brother that told me about the game. Like, my brother introduced me to a lot of games when I was younger. For example, Minecraft. And I'm obsessed with Minecraft today. So thank you a lot, bro. Thank you. And I don't think I really played on it, to be honest. Oops. Oh, yeah, I don't think I really played on it that much, but I'll still be happy to do a video on it if you guys want me to. And then wait for it, the most iconic, the beautiful, the spectacular, the amazing, the show-stopping, the jaw-dropping Roblox was born in the year 2005. And Flash's quality had at least improved quite a lot since the early 2000s to the mid-2000s. Flash's quality improved just very much over the year. I mean, one is an arguable statement considering all the updates that they had to do and like the crashing with apples and like just go watch my Flashpocalypse video. And then talking about communication. So AOL Instant Messenger was obviously still around, but an auspicious new site seemed to come up from the horizons. Not quite Facebook yet. We're getting to that. That's in the late 2000s. But yes, your preassumed thoughts were very much so correct. MySpace came along, and MySpace is probably, I know I said this for AOL, but MySpace hit different. And I'm talking as if I was there to witness it. No, I wasn't. No, the heck I wasn't. But I just remember hearing a lot of stories of like, they're not millennials. They're just older Gen Zs, because kids in the 2000s were still Gen Zs, I think. They're just older Gen Zs talking about their experiences on MySpace for a very long time. So I knew about MySpace's existence for a very long time, if you know what I mean. And dating/friendship sites like high5.com was around, and blogging sites like LiveJournal were also at their peak during this time. And then Skype came out in the year 2000 and something. and it had already amounted to 50 million active users by the year 2005 and was quite a damn popular form of communication. I can say that Skype was probably like the Discord of the 2000s. And you guys still had brick phones back then. Yes, I see you using that Nokia. I don't know any of the numbers for Nokias. Like, look at me talking as if I was there to experience it. No, I wasn't. All I have is the memories of stealing my sister's phone and trying to text my parents. I don't remember why I was doing that. I don't even think I nicked it. I was a good kid back then. I think my sister just gave me her Nokia to play with it. And I don't remember. Anyway. Now let's talk about Memelusion. Internet meming. So internet memes were evolving with the invention of the standard text meme, you know, like those memes with like the reaction face and like the standard text above and then the standard text below. That format, I think, was sort of popularized during the mid to late 2000s, but I'd say like maybe mid 2000s, but you know, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't a 2000s kid. And I was supposed to list iconic memes, but I think I just got lazy with the research and then just didn't put any here. So editing Tara, put some mid 2000s memes in here now. Now, let us discuss the late 2000s. Let's first discuss web browsing. So Reddit was made in the mid 2000s, but really began to take off in the late 2000s. And the same story was for YouTube, made in 2005, born in 05, can't relate, I was born in 07, but got super popular in 07. The internet also became super easy to access, and any basic kid could go on it at this point. And Omegle was launched in 2009, and no, we're not going there today. I don't know why did Omegle just never update their website, because it still looks like it like they haven't updated it since 2009. I'm sorry, but the layout is just so vintage. We're gonna start calling 2000 things vintage. And let's talk communication. So Facebook finally came around and took over the popularity of MySpace, who took over the popularity of AOL back then. And didn't Yahoo buy AOL? Or was AOL Yahoo this whole time? I swear Yahoo bought it anyway. And everyone was migrating over to Facebook by the late 2000s. And in the gaming world, in September of 2007, Poptropica, as well as myself, was born. Poptropica, all my days. I'm just getting nostalgia from just saying this name. Poptropica. Poptropica. I actually missed that game. That was another game that my brother introduced to me. Thank you, bro, for getting me into the gaming community. That was another amazing OG dead Flash game. Is it dead? Is it still alive? I don't even know. I might do a video on it if you guys want me to. And then Ben Weaver, which we did a video on, was also born in 2007 as muah. Oops, sorry. And again, two completely stop. And again, two completely different unrelated games, Wizard 101 and Moshi Monsters, came out in 2008. Whoa! And we did a video on Moshi Monsters. Then Movie Star Planet came around in 2009, which we also did a video on. Last but not least, Minecraft came to us in the year 2009. I also did a video on the MCYT iceberg. You should probably go check it out because I need money and watch time so I can get monetized. And further discussing the meme evolution of the late 2000s, to name a few, because I obviously can't name all of them. The Rickroll, Hatsune Miku, Rule 34 and 63, I'm a Gummy Bear, The Keyboard Cat, This is Sparta, and Charlie Bit My Finger all officially became memes in 2007, as well as Annoying Orange, The Minecraft Creeper, and a bunch of other Obama memes came out in 2009, and the meming scene was finally getting liver and liver by the year. Pardon me. So, I feel as if it's very interesting to look back on the 2000s and what the internet scene was like back then. Although I'm not a 2000s kid and I will never become one in my life because that's impossible. Time travel, maybe. I feel this strange nostalgia for a time that I've never experienced. I don't know if I'm the only person that logically shouldn't feel 2000s nostalgia but still does anyway because I wasn't around to see most of the 2000s. Yeah, I feel a strange nostalgic connection to a lot of 2000 things, whether that be fashion of the 2000s, whether that be even just the internet of the even just the internet of the 2000s. What crazy psychopath that wasn't born in the 2000s would do this long video on what the internet was like on the 2000s? I don't know what type of crazy psychopath would do that. And I wonder if anyone feels the same way. Like, people who can't logically feel nostalgia for a time that you feel nostalgia for. Like, I hear a lot of kids saying they have nostalgia for the 60s. I mean, I can't relate. I'm black. And I'd also really like some content suggestions. What do you guys want to see me do more of? I'm probably going to be posting some more MSP related content because I am, really hitting the algorithm strong with that MSP stuff. I think it's just nice to reflect on what times were, because oftentimes people say that a certain period in the past was a simpler time or an easier time. And I'm not sure whether we say this because we were younger back then and therefore we probably had less responsibilities, or whether it was to do with the actual climate. So when people say that the present isn't as simple as it was in the past in terms of the internet scene, they're usually talking about the toxicity on the internet, for example, Twitter. However, I think it's all just because we were younger back then. Because if we compare Twitter to celebrity gossip sites in the 2000s, it's the same thing. It's literally the same level of toxicity, maybe even worse back then. I don't know. And I feel as if in retrospect, we all say these things like, oh, it was a simpler time back then. Not necessarily because of the climate back then, but because of our naivety to experience the world. Like, let's just say if you're a 4-year-old kid chilling playing some OG Flash games, you wouldn't be aware of, I don't know, the toxicity going on in these celebrity gossip sites. I think it depends on your age and the type of media that you consumed, the games that you played, etc., on whether you would say that the past was a simpler time. But most people would say it, and I would honestly agree. I feel like the times of, bring back memories now. Like, because I logged on to MSP recently and I'm like, whoa, the nostalgia. It just hit different, completely hit different. And when I'm doing research for a lot of these old OG, a lot of them are Flash MMORPG games of the 2000s. And it's just so much nostalgia that I'm feeling for them. And maybe the nostalgia is a reach from the nostalgia of the early 2000s, but I don't have that many memories from the, did I say early 2000s? I meant to say late 2000s. And I think it's just very interesting, the insight that we get when we reflect on these sort of things. Like, I could probably say that the times when I was how old was I? 5, 6, or 7 years old. I would come back from school all the time and I would go on Minecraft with my brother, and we would play on all different sorts of servers and play all different games together. Like, I'd be on the main computer and then he'd be on his laptop. And like, my brother really taught me how to play Minecraft. Wow, I honestly owe so much of my dedication to the gaming community to my brother. And then like eventually, as my brother got older, he had to stop because of his like GCSEs and A levels, and I was just there chilling in like year 1 or 2, like, hello bro, can we play some Hypixel? But like, obviously, because I was younger back then, I didn't really understand. And I think probably he, reflecting back, would say that these times on the internet were simpler times. And, you know, our parents would probably look back and say the times without the internet were simpler times. But I think it all depends on, again, your perspective and the naivety that you had to the world back then. And even though it's impossible so far for us to go back into the past, at least we can take moments to reminisce and remember things that were a big part of our childhood and were a big part of the foundation of who we are today. I can say that I would be a completely different person if it weren't for the internet. And I think it's good to appreciate the impact that the internet has had on so many different people, so many different children's, teens, young adults, and families on the earth today. We would probably be completely different people if it weren't for how the internet had shaped us, whether that's positively or negatively. It still made us the person that we are today. And I think that that's a very beautiful but also ugly thing to acknowledge about the internet and about how much it affects teens on a day-to-day basis. But anyways, wow, I just got so deep and sentimental that I meant to wrap up the video, and I'm there talking about how the internet shapes our life. Anyways, I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. And again, content suggestions, and what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I wanted to say I love you, and please check in on me for new content. I actually have an upload schedule, guys. I'm so dedicated, I'm so consistent. I have an upload schedule now. Every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, expect some more uploads. And if I fail, just cuss me out. I give you permission to cuss me out if I fail. But anyways, love you guys, and I will definitely see you in the next one. This is TP or Thara signing out now. Peace. Come on. Bad day. What? Okay. Please subscribe. Cause like, I need money. I need money. I need a new gaming PC. This ain't even a gaming PC, bro. This stuff, I can barely even run Minecraft on 10 FPS, bro. That's the reason why my username is TP on 2 FPS. Cause I'm broke. Money, please. Subscribe, please. Thank you. Why are you still here? You have no life like me. Anyways, love you guys. See ya.